I'm Carrie Adams, and you're listening to Carrie's Connoisseurs, coming to you from Solid Gold Podcasts. Here we talk to the movers and shakers, the drinkers, the dreamers, and all the people who make it happen in the liquor and luxury industries from around the world. Well, hello everybody, and thanks for joining me today on Carrie's Connoisseurs. And today is the first podcast for Carrie's Connoisseurs for the year. I've been incredibly lazy for all kinds of reasons, and if you subscribe to my newsletter, you'll find out why. I told everybody. But we're back in the saddle. We're doing what we need to do, and a big fun thing, one of my projects for this year, is to bring, the Afrikaners would call it lekkerheid, the niceties, the niceness of wine collection and wine cellaring and the joie de vivre and the fun and the happiness and the everything that goes around wine collecting. And I couldn't think of anybody nicer to do it with than Rob Brown. So, Rob Brown, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. Carrie, thanks for a lovely intro. Very kind of you.
It's going to get better than that. Just wait.
Looking forward to it.
So, the thinking behind a podcast a month from Rob's cellar is, it has a couple of facets. Firstly, I've known Rob for a very long time, too long to mention actually, but having said that, I don't know too much about Robert at all, other than the fact that I raid your bank account regularly when we do something with your wine cellar.
Which is part of the course, I think.
I know, he loves having his bank account raided, but we won't say that too loudly in front of Estelle. Estelle's just upstairs. Guys, if you didn't notice, we're in Rob's wine cellar. It is the most exquisite place, and today's introductory program is to pique everybody's interest about wine collecting and wine cellaring. And Rob is going to take us on his journey from walking into Norman Goodfellow's a long time ago and saying, I like wine, to this amazing cellar that we're sitting in today. The other thing that you need to know is that we haven't called this anything yet. So Rob thought that maybe we should invite everybody who listens, watches, tunes in, plugs out, to send us suggestions as to what we should call this little sub-frame of Carrie's Connoisseurs. And it has to have something to do with Rob and his cellar and or his wine. So send your suggestions to info@Carrie's Connoisseurs. And if you can't spell connoisseurs, phone up Solid Gold, because the person who came up with that name, Carrie's Connoisseurs, is to be found, resident at Solid Gold. His name is Gavin Kennedy, and he made up that name that nobody can spell. Connoisseur. Or say properly even. Why couldn't it just be...
I nearly put the magazine in the background so they could see how to spell it.
Why couldn't it just have been Carrie's Wine Show? It's or Carrie's Connoisseurs.
Caring with Carrie.
Caring with Carrie. But then not everybody, I've got some people who listen from Reykjavik. They don't know what care means.
Oh, there you go.
But we'll teach them Afrikaans. I've been rabbiting on for too long. We need to turn to Rob Brown. Rob Brown is, one of his best attributes is that he's actually an ex-Michael houseboy, as is my son, which makes him extraordinarily nice, caring, loving, giving, fun, rich. Most of you are rich.
I don't know about that, Carrie. I think we, what they call in today's terminology, whoopies.
Whoopies, what does that stand for?
Well-off older peoples.
Oh my God, I thought that was me, except leave off the well-off. Older people, I'll just be the older people.
Exactly.
So Robert is an ex-Michael houseboy. You were born in England. You grew up, I think your father was quite fancy schmancy, and you grew up around the world, but we'll hear about that. And then we're going to hear about the birth of this beautiful cellar that we're sitting in. So Rob, tell us, where? Born in England, where?
Yeah, born in Cheshire in the UK, in a little place called Bucklow.
Nothing wrong with that.
And what I remember of that is nothing, because we moved to Africa when I was 2. So, and then grew up in Zimbabwe, or Rhodesia at the time. Got shipped off to boarding school at the age of 6.
If you were mine, I'd also have sent you to boarding school at 6. Did she just leave you there?
No, you know what happens, your parents work for large multinationals, your dad gets moved around, and parents want stability and that sort of stuff. So the money was stayed up there, we got left at boarding school, and you know, that was part of life.
And it hasn't done you any harm.
No, I think boarding school is a miraculous thing. I think it gives stability, it gives a great environment, it creates friendships.
Probably the most important.
Yeah, and people that you can bump into. I mean, I bumped into a guy last year overseas, and I'd been at school with his brother at junior school. I mean, how small is that in a ski resort in Italy? That you bump into someone whose brother you were at.
You just bump into people in ski resorts in Italy, don't you?
But that's it. We must have been, sipping a glass of wine or two when we discovered this.
Of course you were.
So as one does.
So you went to school, and when you finished school, you went and did what?
Well, no, then I came down here for high school to South Africa, fortunate to go to my class. I've got a bit of a checkered school past. We won't go into that. People can go and look at that.
I didn't see you on the expulsion list.
No, I wasn't on the expulsion list, Carrie. I was very young. So obviously coming out of that environment and Zim, still playing under 15 rugby in grade 11, very, very young.
Yes.
So I ended up doing 1 or 2 extra years. I tell my kids I spent extra years at school for their knowledge now. I don't think they believe 1 cent of that.
No, and quite.
But,
so they shouldn't.
No. Fortunately, they're a lot smarter than I am. So and a lot harder
you've got to
working.
wake up quite early in the morning to be smarter than Rob Brown. I'll tell you that much.
So and that afforded me an opportunity. It afforded me the ability to meet people. I got stuck in at school, so my academics weren't great, but I got stuck into lots of things. So we raised money for wildlife, did a lot of sporting and that sort of stuff, but it gave me an all-round education, which was fantastic. And from there, I then got to go to university to study to be a quantity surveyor.
To be a what?
Quantity surveyor.
Okay.
Yeah, counting bricks, which is quite important when you want to build
It's
houses.
very and wine cellars.
And wine cellars, yeah. You need to know how many bricks your wine cellar is going to count, and how many bricks you need your friends to be able to write on. It's very important.
We're going to show everybody those bricks.
We will show the bricks a bit
we'll
later.
tell you the story of the bricks. Remind us.
And then I went back and went back up to Zim and opened my own business in IT. Got out of QSing straight into IT.
Did you ever work as a quantity surveyor?
Only in my holidays.
Oh, really?
To earn money, yeah. But I preferred IT. I mean, I saw opportunity. It was young. It was the 90s, mid-90s.
Okay, so I'll tell you all a secret. Robert is actually a serial entrepreneur. I did try. When I realized that we've been friends for a very long time and I don't know too much about your background, I tried to do a bit of research, but Robert, he's like the big head honcho of cybersecurity, just in case you didn't know. So everything's a secret. So you can't find anything. There's nothing about you anyway, Rob.
Well, Carrie, if you want to know about me, you need to
drink more.
Spend time with me.
Yes,
and I think that's important.
I'm going to spend more time with you.
Yeah.
So you left university. You never worked as a QS.
No.
You fell into IT. Did you go back to Zim or
Went
what?
back there, started there, spent about 2.5 years there, and then got the opportunity to come back to South Africa, and then came back here, opened up the IT company here. And if we progressed from then. And as you said, got involved in a whole lot of other things. So on the sub side, we're in a little bit of mining, and we're in a little bit of property, and we're in a little bit of telecoms, and we're in a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and now a little bit of wine.
He makes it sound so easy. And I'm just I hope that this, and when you're thinking of a name for us, bear this in mind. I hope that this cellar acts as inspiration enough for hundreds of young people who want to venture into the world of wine tasting and wine collecting. Because you've got to be rich to have a cellar like this. You've got to have lots of dedication. And honestly, we've been collecting the wine for you for a long time.
Carrie, I've been collecting
years
27 years. Is when I first came back here, end of 96, beginning of 97, I thought, okay, let's start collecting a little bit of wine. I think the trick is always to try and buy more than you can consume.
Well, I always say to everybody, because I've stocked many a cellar in my lifetime and I've helped many a person become acquainted with the familiarity and the loveliness of wine rather than this terribly intimidating subject that a lot of people seem to think wine is. And along the way, I've always said to everybody, you need 365 bottles. One for every day of the year. And then maybe one extra for the angels, because we'll tell you about the angels' share that disappears from your cellar every year. We'll tell you. There's all kinds of mystical things that happen. But then, if you've got the 365, that's working on the assumption that you don't drink a bottle every day. Enter Rob Brown. He does drink a bottle every day. So 365 and by the end of the year, he's got nothing. Mine, I drink a bottle every 10, 15 days maybe. So by the time we get to Christmas, I've got an extra 100 and something bottles that I haven't drunk in my cellar.
Well, then it's easy to collect, Carrie. But I
You
mean,
see,
you see, my problem is that I have some of these mysterious visitors.
the angels, those little angels we're
Well,
talking
angels,
about.
and some of them aren't so angels when they sit down here. But they come and we entertain. And that's part of it. So 365 actually is not enough for us in a
not
year.
enough. It's
We're a little bit north of that. But so that's, as you said, the problem is to keep on collecting more than you can consume.
Yes.
And I got helped along the way by you on that when I popped in innocently for a couple of bottles of champagne.
You came for cold drink, didn't you?
No, I came for a couple of bottles of champagne. Never knew why would I come to Norman's for a couple of bottles of cool drink. I mean, a couple of bottles of champagne, and there was a small deal going on. Would you like a couple of odds and ends that aren't on the shelf?
Yes. Come into mine.
Come into.
It's like, what said the spider to the fly? What, my parlor?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And it was like, we think there might be about 300 bottles that are loose here. If you take them, there's a special deal. And to which I agreed upon, only on the Monday, to have 1,200 bottles delivered to my house.
I think Sonia and I had purchased a cellar of sorts, or we'd bought something from South African Airways, or we'd done something. There was like thousands of bottles in boxes.
Well, there was this and that and the other, and there were some pearlers. I mean, I must say, there were some absolute pearlers, some 83 Rubicons, and that sort of stuff, and some signed wine, and one or two bottles of that, and one or two bottles of French. But the problem was, no one knew what was what.
No, I know. So
and
you got the job of sorting through it.
So I got the job of sorting. Well, the first problem was that I had to expand my then cellar to accommodate the 1,200 bottles. So, which was quite a feat.
So you thought, I'm going to do this. There's an easy way of doing this. I'm going to drink half of them this weekend.
Yeah.
And we will sort out the other half.
We'll sort out the rest. No, so first of all, we had to then knock out the bay window at the house.
Yeah.
Extend the wine cellar, and then go from there. So, and that gave us a quick wine cellar with some aircon and the ability to store about, I think, 2,000 bottles. So we had some already, and then we added the rest, and that became fun.
How many bottles does this cellar hold, do we think? I mean, we're not going to talk about the ones in the boxes just yet, but if we're just putting into racks.
If we're just putting into racks,
it's about 2,000?
3,700.
3,000, okay.
Yeah.
So the thing is that this is the introduction program to whatever we're going to call this, in your cellar, story from your cellars, tales from your cellar. You can see in Rob's cellar, Bollinger spoken here. I thought that was quite a nice name.
Well, there's another one we'll show them later that gives you a lot of other excuses. But we'll maybe try and change the cushion each time so that people get to see a different message.
Every time. So we are going to have a drink, and the idea is that we're going to also open a bottle of wine. Every time we do one of these, I can see Shannon and Brennan nodding their heads on the other side of the camera. We are going to open a bottle of wine every time, and we're going to teach you and take you on this gorgeous, magical journey of what's inside Rob's wine cellar. For here and now, though, today, we're not drinking today. We'll sort that out from the next podcast. Over the years, have you swerved in a single direction? Or do you remain fixated on one specific thing that you love?
So, Carrie, for me, I'm very passionate about South African wine. I've had the fortunate opportunity of tasting lots of wines from all over the world with one or two friends at one or two functions, be it a birthday in the Alps or on a cruise ship going from Tahiti to New Zealand, as one does.
As you do.
As one does, and tasting lots of different wines, and fortunate to taste some amazing, Atkins 100 or wines and that sort of stuff. But I still think value for money, bang for buck. At the end of the day, South African wines are very hard to beat for the quality and the price. And so, probably about 85% of this cellar is South African. and predominantly red, because
You love your red
I love
wine.
my red wine. White wine you can buy on demand. It doesn't cellar for a long time in South Africa. But red wine, I think there's some great makers of red wine, some fantastic estates out there. And if you spend a little bit of time, heading around the Cape, be it, to the Hemelnade Valley or into Robertson or all those sorts of places, Stellenbosch, you'll find some fantastic wines. There's some beautiful people to meet. There's some fantastic
I know, that's the
winemakers.
fun thing.
It is the fun bit.
That's one of the nicest parts about wine collecting, is the people that you get to meet along the way. You really do. And we've had some fabulous evenings in this very cellar. And maybe I shouldn't shoot your shot for you, but we do tastings. If you want tastings, you tell them about it. Hey?
Yeah, so I mean, we are fortunate. We've done
Not
quite a few
billions.
tastings. No, it's more
And
it's more
very
exclusive.
exclusive, but
We did a great champagne tasting down here with a whole lot of people. It was really fantastic.
we do a whiskey one here
We did a
as
whiskey
well.
down here as well. We did a fantastic whiskey one with a networking group
Yes.
of people. It was fantastic, meeting new people, networking, getting to know each other. And that was actually just brand new people. And from that, we've met a whole lot of
We
new
have.
people,
We have.
and actually have spoken to some people about business and that. So it's for me, it's very conducive to a fun environment. It takes some of the seriousness out of it because you're sitting in a cellar. So suddenly everyone's calmer, and then you just enjoy yourself. And that's if you go out to a restaurant, everyone's seems to be a little bit more stiff, and whereas down here it's family. It's about
in fact,
the
I
evening.
always leave early. I do the tasting, I leave early, and I get the update the next day that Robert was ushering people out of his cellar at sort of 2 and 3 in the morning.
That's the early time, Kerry. That's the early
But
time.
that's not really where it's at. It's to emphasize the loveliness of wine and wine collecting. And we can also help you if you would like. Who was the architect on this wine cellar?
Well, it was late architects. They were part of the whole design house. But in terms of
Did they
what
give
we
up the ghost
did-
after they finished working for you?
No, I think
Oh, a year of building with the Browns. Oh
Yeah.
my God, heaven can wait.
no. So imagine when we originally built the cellar, Carrie, we actually didn't put any of the shelving in.
No, I remember.
So we just had the glass, and then from there we went and we spent 2 years looking at
I think your dog wants to come and join us. She
Monty.
can come. Is it Monty?
Monty. Yeah, I think
Monty. Monty can come and jump on your sofa.
Oh,
It
here
is,
he
in fact,
comes.
Monty's cellar
Yeah,
at the end of
this
the day.
is Monty. Monty is the one who will get up on the couch.
Come
In
on.
fact, he'll also jump up on the table.
Come on.
Come once.
Come and introduce yourself,
Do you want
Mont.
to come sit down, my boy?
He doesn't like you. He wants to be on
Here you
my
go.
side
Come
anyway.
on, put you up in the middle here. There you
There's
go,
Monty
once.
on the Bollinger cushion.
Our King Charles Cavalier.
Isn't he lovely? He has a sister as well, I think. He's
So-
half the size.
And he'll get up on the dining room table if we all leave the table at night to see if there's
He
any
does.
chocolates or any food that might be available. Monty will come and help
Never,
himself.
Monty's in perfect shape. Look at his
Yeah.
waistline and everything.
Exactly.
Perfect.
As my mother said, he gained my well-rounded gene. So,
He's
but
very sweet.
he will be here till the party ends.
So we were talking about the architect. We killed off these architects that did this one, but we have got others.
No, there's plenty of architects around.
I've got some that I use for some,
And,
and I'm sure you have.
But the nice thing about it, Kerry, is things change. And, what's part of the cellar and why we took so long to do stuff in it was it came with portions of our previous, life and everything like that. So when I was moving around a bit and that, I had quite a few portable, things to hold my
Yes,
wine in. And so
yes.
they became incorporated into the wine cellar.
Yes.
And also a big thing for us, unusual, but we've put a place to put cheese down because cheese and obviously hang your saucisson when you come back from skiing in France. But I mean, beautiful things like that to incorporate. So that when we've got a dinner down here, we can leave the cheese and the meats in the wine cellar. It's shut off. The dogs can't get to it. And then it's at the right temperature. But then people come down and they go, wow, what a presentation. How awesome is that? And it's part of that atmosphere.
It's part of creating. Now, not everybody is as fortunate to have such a big space for a cellar, but it doesn't have to be this big.
No, it doesn't.
But we are going to fill you in on tips. And I'm going to have to speak to the Kennedy kids and see in future podcasts if we can do a roving camera that goes and does things about what happens with the dumb waiter that comes down on a lift and the this and that. There's a million secrets and stories that lie behind the bricks and the glass and the bottles, which we're going to tell everybody about.
Exactly, yeah. And the fun about it, the passion about it. I think the thing about this is it's about having fun. It's about enjoying it, and it mustn't be a task. It mustn't be a chore.
No.
It's got to be enjoyable. It's got to be, also people ask me, how do I know where the wine is? Well, I packed all these bottles by hand. So I spent the time knowing where the wine is.
I know my cellar. I don't, and then you have one evening where you think you know where everything is, and you become a bit sort of frantic looking for something, and bottles come out and bottles get put back in other places, and the next time you go into your cellar. So we've got tips on how to manage your cellar as well. All kinds of tips and things. So there's a few things that we need to do. First of all, we've introduced Rob. We've introduced his dog. We will introduce the whole cellar. We'll tell you all the things that you can and can't do in and out of your cellar. In fact, you should be allowed to do anything in your cellar, but there is some cellar etiquette that we'll teach you about. One very good thing before we get off the architectural bit of the cellar, one of my favorite things in your cellar, Rob has a wall behind that camera which is made of rough brick. Is it called face brick?
Face brick.
Face brick. It's not plastered. And when we have things here, or when he has things here, he's got a piece of chalk, and you can go and write this little story on a brick, sort of El Picasso-ish. Wasn't it him who used to do that? He used to write on walls in restaurants.
He used to, exactly.
So we got a Picasso wall behind us here in this gorgeous cellar, and it's a lovely idea to put into your cellar when you've got people who are coming in, and they can go and write on the wall and say what they drank, what the date was, who they were with, why they were with. There's so much to think about, and there's so much to do. And as I said, nobody better than Rob to do that. So we'll be going forward. We need from you a suggested name, and the name that we choose.
Yeah, I think we should be giving a bottle of wine to.
We'll give them a bottle of wine.
Yeah, I think so.
A
We'll
nice
find
bottle
something
of
out the
wine.
cellar. Yeah, we'll find something.
You'll find something nice out the cellar. We'll find something nice. We're going to do updates on harvests for you. We're going to do updates on all kinds of things in the wine industry that everybody deserves to know about.
And maybe what we'll also do, Carrie, is, with the business travel I do, we should be bringing maybe a bottle or two back from somewhere
Definitely.
overseas that we can talk about and add into the mix.
Definitely. And we're going to taste you through bottles, but like normal people taste through bottles. Not people like me who go and do judging and competitions where you sniff and you spit and you ooh and you ah and you puff and you blow. That's all one thing, but that's my job. Yours is pure pleasure and enjoyment, which I want you to take to all my customers.
Exactly, Carrie. And wine is about it. And maybe you are a person who likes that block of ice in your wine. Well, that's your choice in life.
We're not going to invite you back if you do. But
or in your whiskey.
no.
But that's the whole thing about wine. It's very subjective. It is about drink the wine the way you want to drink
Absolutely.
it and enjoy it. And we're not going to maybe all agree on things.
No.
And that's life. It's like anything in life. We've got different thoughts and different concepts, but the whole concept is enjoy it. And if you don't like something, then move on to the next one.
Yeah. We don't have to fight about it. We just have to move on.
Yes, exactly.
So, in a month's time, we're doing this like every 4 weeks, hey?
Yeah.
Once a month in Rob's cellar, we need a name, we need some buy-in and some input from you. And we're just inviting you to come along on our wine journey in Rob's cellar.
And some feedback. Maybe you want us to taste a different type of wine or
Exactly.
talk about something. And,
maybe they found something that they think we should all tell everybody about.
Or maybe they've got a bottle that they've got a special bottle that they don't want to try because they're not sure about it. And we might have a similar bottle here that we could test with them using our Coravin or something like that. And say, this is actually fantastic to drink now.
Exactly.
There's that opportunity as well.
Lots of opportunities.
To meet people and follow people on wine and suggestions and that sort of stuff.
Wine is a bit like, I can remember when we were kids, really, there were movie critics.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't really go to the movies anymore because we have them in our own homes.
I don't know where to look up the critic nowadays.
But there was a movie critic called Barry Wronger who we all loved and adored. He was
Exactly.
big, burly, happy, intelligent, well-spoken, erudite Barry Wronger. And I just knew that anything that Barry Wronger recommended tickled my fancy. It was my kind of movie. So we hope to be your kind of wine critic, really.
Yeah.
That easy person who you can actually just, or send a question in. Send questions in to info or whatever it is that the kids will tell us, and we'll address them. It's a bit of a test the wine team, have fun with the wine team, do whatever with the wine team. It's a fun wine program.
That's the concept. Have fun, enjoy it, look forward to the next version, look forward to maybe us doing some unusual stuff and trying some unusual wines or even be at port. I mean, on the other side of
We
things.
can do port, we can do champagne.
We can, 100%. We've got some great champagne.
We
here,
love
Kerry.
champagne,
We love
we've got
champagne.
that.
Yeah,
We can do whiskey.
we can.
We can do brandy, because we quite like brandy.
Sure. You were talking about Free State cappuccinos now.
Free State cappuccinos we do.
Exactly.
But we've got all kinds of things that we...
Vodka, there's even those sorts of things. So we don't want to just limit it
The
to
only
wine, but
thing
I mean...
I'm not good at is tequila.
No, but Kerry, that's a very different taste. And maybe grappa we should actually look at. Because
Grappa we can do, wine,
comes
grape
from wine,
spirit.
yeah, 100%. I think we should look at it. So anything that comes from grape spirit, we should have a
Anything
look
that
at.
comes from grape spirit, but that whiskey, we're going to make a little bit...
Yeah.
Robert's got a kilt. But he gets himself decked out in the whole thing and he looks terribly handsome. I thought you had your kilt socks on, actually.
No, but these are my orange spotted socks.
Yeah. So we can do whiskey evening as well.
We can.
We're going to do all those kind of things. Guys, I do hope that you join us. I do hope that you spread the word, and I hope that you come on this little journey with us. Thank you for tuning in. That's us for today, I think.
Fantastic. Thanks, Kerry. And looking forward to the next version.
Done. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Another production from Solid Gold Podcasts.